Really? Just
Yeah.
once I would like to start this clean. Just once. I think that's impossible with you.
You knew what you were getting into, Dad.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know what I was getting into when we conceived you. I had no clue what we were getting into when we conceived you. No. Had I known that, still would have had you, but it was just I'd have been more prepared.
Oh, Dad, you can't prepare for Hurricane Connor.
That's true.
I am a force of nature.
Anyway, hey everybody, welcome to Gene Pool Variety Hours, episode 66. I'm Sean, I'm the old guy, I'm the dad in this duo we got going here. And the guy on the other screen that is doing like rap horn or whatever that is.
Yo, what it do, baby boo? It's your boy QuillMiester right here, on with the mic with him, a big old Papa Bear that's hanging out here, man.
Yep. Your mic sounds a little low.
It is?
Anyway, yeah, that's all right. It's cool. It's fine. All so right. Anyway, welcome Kurt, for hanging out with us.
Welcome, one and all.
We're just going to kind of just hang out and do what we always do. Talk nerdy stuff and chase some chickens and talk about some weird random movies. Oh, this wasn't a weird
Welcome to the Thunderdome.
This wasn't a weird movie. This was a good movie. I think...
It was weird. It was weird in a way, but good.
No,
Ashton Kutcher has always made good movies. I have yet to see a bad Ashton Kutcher movie.
I don't know that I would call it weird. It was interesting. It was a thriller, kind of paranormal kind of thriller kind of thing. So that it was unusual in that respect. I
wouldn't say it was paranormal. Well, a paranormal is it's usually some sort of outside magical or spiritual source.
Well, okay.
I would say this is almost like Chronicle in a way. So someone having this ability, having this trait that they then learn how to use.
How about we I didn't reset the timer. How about we hold off talking about the movie till time to talk about the movie?
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. So yeah, we had to miss last week. Sorry guys. Some of you may come on. I think Kurt came on and hung out with me while I played some Xbox because Connor was in nursemaid mode with his fiance Nikki, and all
I'll
that
explain.
Stuff. Yeah. So
I'll explain.
So we took last Friday off from the podcast.
So yeah.
Yeah. So what's been going on with you, man? Why did we have to take a week off last week?
In addition to being nursemaid for my lovely fiance, she the previous day she had gotten the second booster shot for the vaccine, and it completely knocked her on her butt.
Oh,
just completely. Yeah, and so in addition to doing that, on that same Friday, our very first washer and dryer was delivered.
Cool.
And big adult step.
Yeah.
And
my son installed a washer and dryer.
Oh yeah, solo. Because we bought it secondhand. Because their policy that they couldn't come into the residence for liability stuff. So I had to move this table solo. Had to basically wobble move the washer and dryer in solo.
Yeah.
I almost got everything hooked up until I noticed I didn't hook up anything from the dryer to the exhaust vent.
Yeah, that whole vent thing.
So then I had to pull. Yes. So I had to wobble that thing back out, measure the distance between where the vent is on the dryer to where the vent is that leads outside.
Yeah.
Went to Home Depot. Bought a size that I thought would be enough.
Right.
It wasn't. I was off by like a few inches. It's like I could technically reach it, but I couldn't get it to actually hook on.
Okay.
So
sorry, I had a bad joke in my head when you said that. So I just
no. Go ahead.
It's a family friendly show, so
okay. Hey, text it to me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it just
I
suffices to
had
say
to
that's
go
what she said.
back to Home Depot, and get the next size up. Which okay, first about the 8 feet.
Yeah.
Next size up is 25 feet. It's like, okay, there should be a little bit of middle way stuff in this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 8 to 25 feet. That's literally 3 times the length.
Right.
So I basically had to measure it, eyeball it a bit, cut it to shape and fit,
Right.
and now the extra slack is basically under our sink.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
Like we said, you're never going to find a length of that vent pipe that's going to be exactly the right length. So you just kind of cut it to shape. So or to size. So I think that's great that you did that. My son actually did something on his own. That was awesome.
I've always done stuff on my own. What are you talking about?
I mean this kind of stuff, like adult installing stuff kind of stuff. That's what I mean. You've done. Yes, I know you do other things, but it was a pretty big deal, man. It was a pretty big deal.
So speaking of adulting things, I finished my insurance stuff today, so I'm officially insured.
There you go.
By my work. That's another big adult step.
He's like getting washers and dryers and getting health insurance and stuff. That's
yes,
just,
Kurt, I am awesome. Thank you for saying that.
You know what, Kurt? I keep meaning
Team Connor.
I keep meaning because I have our little Gene Pool Variety Hour logo shirts on TeePublic, and I keep meaning to do a hashtag Team Connor because that's what my friends always say. So I know I'm the odd one out. Connor's the lovable one. So I keep meaning to do. I just haven't found a good font that I like to make that shirt. So, but one of these days I'm gonna make that on the
Comic
Sans
side. Bad Comic Sans.
No, it needs to be something different. I wish I could find a font that matches our logo that the guy made for us. But anyway, so
excuse me.
Anyway, so that's cool.
But yeah, that's. I've basically been big adult for the past 2 weeks, and I need some time to be stupid Connor.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's
my
kind of
goofball needs an outlet.
Right.
He has been starved for attention, and he is begging to be released.
So it's cool to watch you do a lot of these firsts and take these big steps and stuff, because at this point in my life, when we talk about what I've been doing, I went to work today, like yesterday and the day before. This week I went to Savannah for work.
Savannah.
So
did you go to the Chromatic Dragon?
I told you, I think the Chromatic Dragon is shut down. I don't think it's open anymore. Yeah. So, which is a shame, but look, Savannah's a really artsy school. I mean, artsy town, because SCAD is there. Savannah College of Art and Design. So I don't know how many of people that go to those kind of schools tend to be the kind of nerdy people that go play video games and play D&D. They're probably more, hey, let's go sit at the coffee shop and talk stuff, right? So there's probably more coffee shops, but the Chromatic Dragon kind of went away, I believe. So it is what it is, man.
That sucks.
That's why when I sold my practice, but I still had that building for a long time, I actually toyed with the idea of opening up a nerd store in LaGrange. But it never would have flown in LaGrange. It never would have flown in this town, It just wouldn't have. There would have been a few people that would have come, but it wouldn't have been a big enough draw to keep the business afloat. So I'm like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
If that big comic game store in Noonan always looks kind of run down because it just doesn't make a lot of money, and it's in Noonan, there's no way it's going to do it fly in LaGrange. So it is what it is. So
you're talking about Heroes, right?
Yeah, the place you used to go in Noonan. Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah. Heroes actually moved to a new location, and and they actually did so well. They expanded their market to also include used video games, consoles,
good,
t-shirts, all kinds of extra merchandise besides just comics, cards, and D&D stuff.
Yeah, your mom and I were up in Noonan the other day, and we drove right by it. I didn't know they had expanded all that stuff. I'd have gone in and checked it out. But anyway.
Oh yeah.
So So anyway,
I miss Heroes. I
yeah,
made a lot of good friends at
you did. I mean, you drive
Heroes
up there on Friday
back
nights and hang out with them and play
do
D&D or
um
Magic or whatever.
Magic the Gathering, Friday
Yeah,
Night Magic.
yeah,
I loved doing that.
yeah. So, so yeah, so anything nerdy, exciting happening or going on in your life these days, or that you're looking forward to?
Um oh have you been keeping up with Tiny Tina's Wonderlands?
No, no, not really.
They they just released a video describing two of the classes you could play.
Oh yeah. So what are they?
Um
So they're not your
these
traditional classes.
no,
Oh, it is Tiny Tina.
it's Borderlands meets D&D essentially.
Right.
This the Stabomancer, which when you think about it, it's like a magical rogue.
Okay.
You can summon up spectral blades and have them slash people and such.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the Berserker, which is essentially a barbarian who uses ice attacks.
Okay. That's interesting. All right. So like a
Oh
frost
yeah,
giant, kinda, in a way.
in a way, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
So
I
those are
am
the only
so
two
gonna
so far.
those are the only two out of four that they've released.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
I am so gonna pre-order this game. I mean, you know, I love Tiny Tina.
We both do. We both do, and we both love Dungeons and Dragons, and we both love Borderlands. So
It's the perfect combination.
it really sounds like if they pull it off well, yes, it could be the perfect storm for you and I. Absolutely.
If it's as good as it looks and runs as good as it looks, it can end up being its own franchise.
Well, sure it could. Sure it could. I mean, you combine Borderlands with D&D, you're going to rope in new people, and you're going to expand, old Borderlands people into the D&D kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it sounds, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not keeping up with it. When's it supposed to come out again?
March of next year.
Okay, so that's going to come out right after Witch Queen for Destiny 2. That's the big thing that I'm looking for because I don't have a lot of time to play a lot, so I play very few things. And so
very few things. You play one thing.
Yeah, generally that's true. Although every now and then I'll go into playing something else. If I'm like the other night, last Friday, I was playing a few different things because I was kind of testing out some stuff for the charity stream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, and Kurt's right. 1 equals very few. So that is very few. So we were both right. Okay? So no need to be picking sides. We were both right. So
you and I, hey Dad.
Yes, Connor.
You and I should get back into streaming video games of the two of us playing video games on Saturday mornings. We should get back into that.
Sure, we could definitely do that. If
I have one request.
Yes.
Has to include games other than Destiny.
Well, of course, because I don't expect you to play Destiny. I know that.
I mean, I do like Destiny.
Yeah.
It's just it eventually becomes like you said before you got roped back into it. It just became a grind. It's just to try to keep up with a whole bunch of people,
Well, that's when I had a bunch of friends that did raids and stuff, and so you tried to keep up with them so that you could go raid with them. I never really liked raiding anyway. I don't bother with raids now, so I don't feel that pressure. I mean, I still grind to level up, but I don't feel like I have to grind in order to keep up with friends so that I can raid. I don't feel that pressure anymore.
I just don't like games that almost like force you to grind just to feel like you're accomplishing something,
Right. And Destiny 2 got much better about making it much less of a grindy feel. They did a much better job of that.
It did. It did. It's just eventually it just got for me anyway, it just got to the point of just playing the same thing over and over again,
So
that's what it felt like for me anyway.
But if you want to do some game streaming on Saturday mornings, we can do that. Now we can't do it tomorrow because my alma mater, we have season tickets to UAB games and they have their homecoming game tomorrow. Yeah. So your mom and I are leaving early in the morning to go to Birmingham for that. So, but on Saturday mornings where we don't have anything going on, I'm usually up in the morning playing games before folks get up anyway. And you're usually up early.
Same here.
Saturday morning gaming. Sure, absolutely.
That
I'll set up a new
that
overlay and we'll do that.
This job has permanently changed my internal clock. Now, even on days when I'm off, I wake up between 4 and 5 in the morning.
And here's the thing though, when it comes to sleep hygiene. Sorry, I'm putting my psychologist hat on here a little bit. I guess I'm chasing a chicken. When it comes to sleep hygiene, you kind of want to keep your schedule pretty consistent, right? From one, the cake is a lie. From one.
The cake is a what?
Weekdays to weekends. I don't know. It's your friend. Ask him. I don't
Dexter, know. The cake is a lie. Portal. That's from Portal.
Okay, right. Yeah. So, so you kind of want to keep your sleep schedule pretty consistent, weekdays to weekends. So that doesn't mean you got to get up at 4:00 on Saturday and Sunday morning. But if your body clock is waking you up early, go ahead and get up.
I know,
because it jacks up with your sleep schedule when you sleep in till 1 p.m. on the weekends, but then you have to get up at 4 a.m. during the week.
I've never slept until freaking 1 p.m.
It was an example.
Luke has, Courtney has maybe, but I've never done that.
It was an example. That's all. So anyway, I'm trying to think of any nerdy stuff that I'm looking forward to. Dune just came out in theaters today and was on HBO Max yesterday. So I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I really want to watch that movie. So I'm got my nice big screen TV and
isn't this Dune a reboot of something else?
It's a remake it's a remake of the Dune movie that was done in 1984, I want to say. Huh. Which was a movie adaptation of the book Dune by Frank Herbert. He did like a trilogy of books, I think, or maybe been a series. I've always wanted to read them, and I start reading them, but they're a hard read, man. So I have never finished reading the books.
Is it some kind of post-apocalyptic thing?
No, they're on different planets. It's different planets.
So it's full on sci-fi. Okay.
Yeah. It's full on sci-fi, and it's supposed to be. The books are supposed to be good, but from people that I've talked to that have actually read all the way through, and they say his writing style is really hard to follow. And I was reading it, and I love Tolkien, and I was having a hard time following his writing style, so it's pretty hard. if I like Tolkien, and this was harder than Tolkien, so so I'm looking forward to watching that. So I'll probably watch that, maybe tomorrow night when we get
on my HBO Max account
or Sunday. And then Shang-Chi comes out on Disney next month. I've really been wanting I wanted to see that one when it came out in the theaters, but it came out on the Friday of Dragon Con. Of course, I was at Dragon Con, and then I got COVID, so I was quarantined for 10 days. So by the time I got out of quarantine, it was pretty much left the theater down here. So I didn't get to see it in the theater like I wanted to. So I'm going to be doing it. I'll probably do it on a Thursday night when your mom's over at Bible study across the street, their neighborhood Bible study that she does with the other ladies in the neighborhood. So I can crank it up super loud and just watch it like a theater movie instead of putting my headphones on. So
I haven't felt a lot of motivation for following Marvel's most recent stuff. The only thing I wanted to watch was Loki, and that's it. I haven't really felt any motivation to watch anything else.
Did you watch WandaVision?
No. Haven't watched Captain America and Winter Soldier either.
That one
haven't watched them.
Of the three of those shows, it was the least exciting to me. Right? They were all very different styles. When I first started watching WandaVision, I'm like, what in the world am I watching here? And I almost stopped watching after the first 2 episodes. But I gave it and then I got hooked. It was so good. Loki was interesting just because of all the time travel,
the variants
and all that stuff. And
I still can't believe he made out with himself.
Yeah, well, kinda. Well, but who does Loki love more than himself anyway? So it kind of makes sense, right?
But fun fact.
Oh God! There we go. That's definitely a chicken. Fun fact always equals some kind of chicken. Go ahead.
In the actual Norse mythology of Loki. He would often use his illusions to be both male and female to pull his tricks.
Sure, I'm sure he would. But
Oh, and here's a random thing. One time he turned himself into a female horse to quote unquote entice Odin's horse away from a race, so that Odin would lose. He basically kept on running away from this horse until eventually the horse did catch up with him, and bow chicka bow wow,
How does someone
and created and that created Sleipnir, the world's fastest horse according to Norse mythology.
Okay, so how does someone who is not like majoring in Norse mythology know that? How do you know that? I mean, I bet you there are people that major in Norse mythology that don't even know that. What the? Really?
What?
How do you? I don't know how you know this kind of stuff. I'm sorry. I just don't. You just kind of like, I'm pulling it right out of your butt. Probably Percy Jackson. You're right.
Okay. Well, first off,
oh god, here we go.
That's Greek mythology, not Norse mythology.
I'm gonna stand back here.
That's Greek mythology, not Norse mythology.
Flames are coming out of his ears here.
Second off, did you know? No, the chain that held Fenris of the Great Wolf Fenris is known as the Gleipnir.
I don't even know how to pronounce what you just said. So obviously,
I
don't.
That. Watch my lips. Gleipnir. Gleipnir.
Okay. The Gleipnir.
What? It's easy.
I know.
Yeah, Gleipnir.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Then
I don't know how you know this stuff.
And then Loki and Fenris had cubs in Fenrir and Boromir.
I need to just keep playing the chicken button over here. Just.
What?
Wow! How did we get here? How did we get here?
Loki is kind of a slut. Let's be honest.
Well, we know that.
Yes, Magnus Chase, but I've never read those books.
Okay.
This is all for my own knowledge. This is all for my own research.
I swear, man, getting in conversations with you is like hopping on a roller coaster and just kind of holding on and seeing where it takes you.
One more random thing.
Chicken's getting worn out tonight.
Have I ever told you about the Kirin?
I don't know. Probably at some point.
It's the Asian variant of the unicorn.
Okay. How did we get to Asian unicorns?
It's just a theory I have that makes a lot of sense that I want to say. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The Kirin in Asian mythology is described as a horse-like creature with scaly skin, a horn on its head, and able to run with the sound of thunder. What does that sound like?
Say it again. What?
Okay. A
I thought you were talking to the crowd. I was kind of lost here. So go.
No.
Okay, I'm listening now.
In Asian mythology, the Kirin is described as being a horse-like creature with a tough, scaly hide, has a horn, and is able to run with the sound of thunder.
It's a rhino.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
I just love learning these origins and finding out how because some sort of Asian explorer saw this thing and was like, okay, this is the only way I can explain this thing. It's basically a dragon horse, you know?
Right.
I mean, that's always what's been cool to me, learning the origins of things.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been listening to I've been listening to a podcast because I drove down to, I have to drive down to Savannah this week for work, and it's about a 4.5 hour drive. And one section of it from Macon to Savannah is on I-16, and it's just straight and flat. And it's one of those things like you've seen in movies where that got that weird camera angle where it looks like the person's getting closer to the screen, but the background is stretching out behind him. I don't know how they accomplish it. Yeah, that's what that road feels like for 2.5 hours. It's like you're just constantly being stretched because it just seems like you're never getting anywhere. So it's a rough stretch to drive by yourself. So I typically will find an audio drama podcast to listen to, and I just listened to one called, I think, Bridgewater. Yes, I'll hit a chicken.
Bridgewater.
It's called Bridgewater. It has Nathan Fillion does a voice in it. One of the voices in it.
Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, Misha Collins, which is one of your guys from Supernatural, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He actually plays the main character. Will Wheaton has a voice in it.
Will Wheaton.
Yeah. And I've been listening, and I just listened to the first season. Only the first season is out. I just finished listening to the first season, and it's about this place up in the New England, up in there somewhere, Pennsylvania, I think. This area of the woods, and all this weird stuff happens. With spirits and portals to other worlds and all this kind of stuff. And anyway. And Will Wheaton plays the police captain in the show. And there was like an evil offshoot of this spiritualist group called the Children of Turturbin or something like that. And I guarantee you, he's going to be a member of that. He's going to secretly have been a member of that because it's evil Will Wheaton. So he can't be just a police captain. He's got to end up being one of the evil characters that's behind a lot of this stuff.
Just because he blocked you on Twitter doesn't mean he's evil.
Oh, but it does. That's why people call him Evil Will Wheaton. That's why Sheldon called him Evil Will Wheaton. That's why there's a hashtag called Wheaton Blocked, because it's a habit. So anyway, so it was really good. And I don't know how I got to that, but it's all. The main character, Misha Collins, his character talks about that. He's a professor in mythology, and he talks about that too. That a lot of mythology comes from people seeing things they can't explain, and they explain it the best way they can, and it ends up being something, paranormal, like spirits and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that's how we got there. I actually remembered how we got there. We should probably actually do something. We've been rambling for half an hour.
I just like talking.
I do too. But, we actually do have a movie to talk about, and actually a pretty good one, and a kind of an interesting question to talk about, too. So, hey, what's up, buddy? I appreciate you stopping by and saying hey. I get it I get there's children in the house that we have to take. I get it. So, I really appreciate you stopping by and saying hey, Jacob. So, how about, what are you doing? What are you popping over there, Mr. 25-year-old. Oh goodness, what is? No, you got to put that closer to the screen. Oh, Captain Morgan's.
Oh yeah.
Private stock. Okay.
It's a good rum.
Okay. Oh geez, really? Okay. So clearly we don't do that often. You did it for the stream, and that didn't turn out well, did it?
No, it did not.
I was sitting there going,
I thought I could handle it.
I was sitting there going, wow, my son has gone from drinking wine coolers, basically, and hard apple cider to trying a Jack and Coke at a restaurant to now he's just drinking straight out of the stinking bottle. I'm like, that escalated quickly. But now I see from your reaction it hasn't escalated that quickly. So, okay.
I don't know why I did that. That was stupid of me.
Just for the fun of it. All right.
Hello.
Are you ready for the geek question now? You ready to do the geek question?
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's do the geek question.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Come on, I'm waiting. Are you going to try to do Arnold after he just took a swig of Captain Morgan's? Kind of a mix between Captain Jack and Arnold. You're not going to do it? You're just going to let it go. Okay, so then I guess we'll just move on and ask the question. Do you remember the question?
We're going to ask you a bunch of questions. Anyone to answer immediately.
I knew it. You putz. You putz. Okay,
moron.
So here's the question, guys. I am sorry I still have
Grumpy
this
old man
cough.
reference, don't worry.
It's a post-COVID cough that will not go away. It just catches me every now and then, so I apologize for that.
Have
The question,
Have you gone to the doctor and gotten
no,
it checked
there's
out?
nothing to do about it. It's just respiratory stuff that happens with COVID, and people have different types of symptoms. And it hit me with this. I didn't have respiratory problems when I had it. It just kind of crept up afterwards. Anyway, so the question is this, and if anybody's got any kind of wants to chime in on their answer to this question, that'd be cool. The question is, the question is kind of tying into memories and that kind of stuff because I'm pointing back here, Deja Vu, pointing on the screen there. The movie we're going to talk about is about memories and all that stuff. So anyway, so the question is this. If you could go back to any of your memories at any time to just visit whenever you needed it, which one would it be and why? Now, you know, this movie is about kind of going back to memories and trying to change things. I'm not really asking that because we know that rarely would turn out well, I doubt, you know. And plus, you know, if we want to talk about memories that we want to change, then we're going to be talking about really, really yucky stuff, right? Bad stuff that we want to change. I like this one because it's more positive. Where's a cool memory that you had that you want to kind of hang out at, right? So what's a memory that you have, and I know you don't have as many years to fall back on as I do, that you would like to just, if I could just revisit that memory every now and then and just kind of hang out, what would it be? And why?
Can I have multiple answers, please?
When do you not?
so it is allowed.
Assumed you would.
It is allowed.
Sure.
Okay.
But
okay,
no more than like 2 or 3, not like 15.
I know.
Okay.
I know. One is this is gonna be very cheesy, but it's gonna be the moment when I proposed to Nikki.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, you know, even though at that point we had only been dating like 6 months, we had known each other for years and years and years beforehand. Right. And then when we started actually dating, it's like I knew this was going to be the woman I was going to spend the rest of my life with.
Yeah.
So basically from the point of when we started dating to when I proposed, it was basically 6 months of me planning how I was going to propose.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that moment, and the first minute, when we walked in, and I grabbed the attention of one of the park photographers.
Sure.
Who and she got all giddy and she's like, okay. She like literally got physically excited. And I just kind of like led her along a bit until we got to this nice spot overlooking the pond.
Yeah.
And I mean, in my head, I actually had this whole speech, but then at the same time, when I stopped her, I was like, you know what? I've waited years to do this, so I'm not gonna wait any longer. So I'm just gonna do it.
Okay.
And that moment of when I decided that,
yeah,
I want to relive that whenever I can because that was a magical moment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Your mom, you know, when I proposed to your mom, it was so nonchalant. I mean, it kind of caught her off guard because she wasn't expecting it. But I mean, we had a party. I had friends that had a party that they were throwing, and we were planning on going there. We were just both kind of tired or whatever, and said, I said, let's just hang out at the apartment. And I said, I'll fix us some spaghetti or something. We're just gonna hang out. And so we're literally sitting in my apartment in the dining room of the apartment with outdoor patio furniture table for the dining room. Okay, so we're not talking about anything fancy. We're both, because I think it was cool. So we're both wearing.
So Joey and Chandler from Friends after they got robbed.
Pretty much. We didn't have a foosball table, but I mean, you know, but that was just our college.
No, after they got robbed.
Yeah, that was just our college. That was just our college dining room table. Me and my roommate. It was like a patio table and chairs for the like outdoor patio table. That's just what it was. And we were just hanging out. So, and it was wintertime, I think. Yeah, because it was right before a Super Bowl party we went to. And we're hanging out and wearing sweats. So we're hanging out. I'm making spaghetti in a nasty college apartment at a patio outdoor furniture dining room table and had already bought the ring. And said, "Oh, I was out today and I found something really cool I thought you might like." And then I pulled it out of my jacket pocket and got on my knee and asked her to marry me. So it was kind of, there was nothing special about it at all, but it's still one of her favorite memories because she just loved the way we did it. But anyway, but that's not one of the ones that I would do. So do you have more, or do you want to kind of go back and forth?
I do have more. Yeah.
Okay. Well, go ahead. Tell me another one, because I've got one. I hadn't really thought about multiple. I've got one that I really do.
This one's a nerdy one, and one of my favorite stories to tell from Dragon Con. When I was sitting outside,
Mass Effect?
Yes, the Mass Effect story. For those of you who don't know, at one of our first full convention in times, I'm going to Dragon Con. I earlier that summer I played nothing but Mass Effect for that entire summer. I literally played through all 3 games on repeat the entire summer. I basically lived in the Rec Room and played those games constantly. To the point where mom told you to just take the Xbox 360 and TV up to my room just so I wasn't sitting in the hot garage / rec room all day.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yep, I do.
And so when I was looking at the panels for Dragon Con, I was like, oh, there's a couple of Mass Effect ones, and one of them is about the biology of races, and I'm like, I love biology, so let's go to that.
Okay.
I got there super early just because I wanted to get a good seat right in the front, and so I walked up to the room, and there was already a guy sitting there. He was sitting messing on his phone. I stepped beside him, and then I don't remember exactly how we started talking, but eventually we just did. We just started talking about the games. We talked about our favorite moments, how we talked about how we played the game, our favorite parts of it.
Yeah.
And then we got to debating the famous final decision,
the ending
of Mass Effect 3. Yes, the end.
What choice?
Exactly. Yeah, what choice of symbiosis, destruction, or control in Mass Effect 3.
And which one did you choose again?
I always chose synthesis and symbiosis, of basically fusing man and machine, because no matter what you chose, the Reapers would have always been reborn or just come back. If you destroyed them, I mean, we learned our lesson from the Geth. We eventually we create methods of our own destruction. It's natural order things. So even if we didn't make, even if it wasn't for millennia in the future, we still would have eventually made something that would have been as bad as the Reapers.
Okay.
If we controlled them, that again was also a temporary solution, because the Reapers eventually would just come back at the next cycle of when they come. That's what they do. And I remember her. That's what was being said. It was stop them for now.
Yeah.
And so when it got to talking about synthesis and symbiosis, I was like, it's the only true lasting option for peace, because then even the Reapers would become partially human.
Right. Right.
Well, they and then the entire world, the entire galaxy would have become perfect in their eyes, including them, and so they would have no need to then attack anyone.
Right.
And he said, I never thought about all of it exactly like that when I wrote it. You're very smart. And at the time, I guess I didn't hear it right, because I'm like, thank you. I'm just hearing the compliment. Well, eventually we go in.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to my seat. He goes behind the table and sits there, and then later he's introduced as one of the head writers for the games. And I'm like, huh? I just talked the ear off to one of the creators of one of my favorite game series, and he complimented me and said I was smart.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's I mean I mean that's comparable to a 7 of 9 calling you over and singling you out in the Walk of Fame.
Yep. So, as far as memories for me, like a serious one, the one that I was thinking about is, when we moved, look, we had me and your mom had the 3 boys, had you and your 2 brothers, right? And y'all were kind of a handful for a lot of different reasons, right? And so there was a lot of stress, and there was no time for anything but taking care of you guys and the office, because we'd moved down here and we'd started the practice, and I was working there, and she was helping me run the thing, and that was pretty much our life. And so, and plus, because we're running our own small private practice, there was not a lot of money to kind of go on big vacations and stuff. And so it was always really important to me that we had time, she and I, right? You got to kind of guard that husband-wife time, so you don't lose that in just being mom and dad identity. It's really important to do that. And it wasn't until she went. It may have been all 3 of you, all of y'all. It was one of those summers y'all went the whole summer, right? And y'all went to Oklahoma for the whole summer, and I got her to agree one year to go for a one night overnight to a mountain cabin, because she felt uncomfortable leaving you guys, with anybody. You guys stayed with Grammy and Granddaddy, or they came here and stayed with you guys. And then it got to where we extended it to the point to where we would take a 4-day weekend every fall and go to the mountains, and it would just be she and I. You guys would stay with the grandparents, and it was the time we would literally get there, unload the car, take our watches and our phones off, and turn them off. Okay, we would leave one on. I would set my phone for an alarm for Monday morning at 7 o'clock or something like that, the day that we were leaving, to remind us. And then, so we had zero concept of time or anything. If we wanted to eat, we ate. If we wanted to sleep, we slept. If we wanted to go somewhere, we went somewhere. And it was just 4 days of just relaxing and hanging out, just she and I doing whatever we wanted to do. It was such a great recharge time. And we haven't gotten to do it for the last several years because of the job she has now, working, taking care of my cousin's kids on the spectrum, and she's a teacher. So your mom doesn't get paid vacations, doesn't get time off, and so there's very rare times for us to go now. But those weekends we would look forward to every year, and they were precious to us because it was a time to just kind of recharge and relax and catch our breath to get going for the next year, right? So
I mean, we were a handful. Me and my brothers were a handful.
Yeah, in more ways than one, which we won't get into. But anyway, so that's a memory. If I could go back and revisit any of those,
we weren't always that bad, were we?
When you were little, because of ADHD and all the autism spectrum behaviors that would happen, it was and then Luke being the neurotypical one in the middle, not understanding why his brothers weren't his playmates, because you and Mitch, your brains work differently. And so there was always that animosity going on, and he was always upset, and he didn't understand, and you guys didn't understand. And so, yeah, it was just really stressful. But I mean, I remember one time your mom and I had a place, and of course, all these mountain cabins have hot tubs out on the deck, and so we got in the hot tub and had a glass of wine, and this one was kind of up on a hill looking over a valley, and there was a mountain on the other side, and so we watched the full moon rise over the mountain across the valley, and as the full moon rose up over, and there was not a cloud in the sky, so it was really bright, and you could see the stars and all this kind of stuff. As the full moon was rising up over the mountain across the valley, all of a sudden you could hear all the coyotes and the wolves out through the mountains starting to howl and calling back and forth each other across the valley. It was so cool.
I wanted to experience that.
That
sounds
was so
amazing.
cool. That was so cool. So, you know,
That
those are
is
some of my
nature at its finest.
those are some of my fondest memories. Nerdy memories, I guess, would probably be like the 7 of 9 story. Yeah. No, we haven't talked about Butterfly Effect yet. No, we're about to get into that. We're finishing up our geek question. So the 7 of 9 story, you know, Jerry Ryan, you know, I'm walking through the Walk of Fame, and
she singles you out
because she sees me in my Inigo Montoya cosplay. She calls me over, says, "Hey, are you Inigo Montoya?" And I'm like, "Yes." And she says, "Say the line." I say the line, and then we end up having a conversation for like 15 minutes. And not during that entire 15 minutes, we didn't 7 of 9 and Star Trek. Those words never came out of our mouths. We were talking about being parents because I follow her on Instagram, so I saw, you know, raising her daughter, and, you know, and just taking her to horse, you know, riding lessons, and so we just talked about being parents. It was really cool. And then, you know, I mean, the other one. Well, I mean, you know, when I got Gillian Anderson to sign, you know, to give my autograph, they said, "Love your second wife." That was kind of funny. But no, it was the year that Defiance, it was the last year of their show, and the whole cast was at Dragon Con. And I went to their panels because I knew this was probably the last year. I knew they probably wouldn't get renewed, so I went to most of their panels. And in one of them, the guy that played the son of the alien, of the Castethans, talked about how their blood was really bright pink, and, you know, really bright pink. And so when they had to use blood, Castithan blood,
the Pepto-Bismol story,
it was always a mixture of like raspberry juice or something like that and Pepto-Bismol. And he says, "I absolutely, utterly hate Pepto-Bismol. It makes me gag." And he says, and there was a scene where I was captured by the humans and they were beating me up. And so my mouth had to bleed because they punched me in the face. And so I had to keep a mouthful of that Pepto-Bismol crap in my mouth for like 15 minutes as we kept doing take after take after take. And he just talked about how gross it was, right? And so, of course, at Dragon Con, there's a CVS right there on the corner, right there amongst all those hotels. So as a joke, I went up to CVS, bought him a bottle of Pepto-Bismol, and brought it down to him at the Walk of Fame and handed it to him, and was joking around with the whole cast. They were all there. And then the woman that played Doc Yule, you know, like the like white bald-headed doctor, she was right there. And then I happened to be walking through the next day, and I caught their attention and said hey to him. He says, "Hey, you're the guy that brought me the Pepto-Bismol yesterday, right?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Thank you so much, because we went out last night and she started getting sick, so she used your Pepto-Bismol last night." So it's just kind of funny. So anyway,
so you saved
so I healed the physician. Yeah. So anyway, there's all kinds of little stories like that at Dragon Con, but those are probably my 3 biggest ones that I've had. You know, and because we don't say, huh?
I heard 2.
Well, the Gillian Anderson one, you know.
Okay.
You know, and we don't stay at the host hotel, so we don't get the stories that all of my friends that stay at the host hotels have of running into celebrities at the bar at night, right? We don't get those.
I wish we could do one of those one year.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. Maybe we'll try to work into that one year. But anyway, so that's the answer to those are my questions, like a serious one and a geeky one. You've done a serious one and a geeky one. I think we should probably talk about Butterfly Effect. I think that would be something that would be really important for us to do. So how about we jump into the next installment of Roll for Credits?
Okay.
You ready?
Yep, let's do it. Let's do it.
So now we're going to talk about the Butterfly Effect.
Okay, now we're going to talk about Butterfly Effect.
Yeah, so now I got to pull up my notes. So, I didn't really take many notes, but we're talking about the 2004 thriller movie with Ashton Kutcher called The Butterfly Effect. And I had notes on here, and they're gone. So why don't you tell us about the movie?
So, essentially, the movie is about this guy.
Here we go.
Evan Tierborn.
Yeah, Trayborn.
Trayborn. Sorry, Evan Trayborn, and ever since he was a little kid, he would get these memory blackouts, and he would just lose moments of time not really knowing what happened, and having no memory of what happened in those blocks of time. So for the longest time, his mom took him to specialists, just trying to figure out if there was anything wrong with him. Obviously, there wasn't, and it kind of goes from his life of as a kid to down a teenager, and then to when he's basically in college.
Right. Fast
And
forward to when he's in college, right? And that's
yeah,
when the major parts of the movie
that's
happen is
yes,
during
that's when
his college
yeah.
years. Yeah. But
Oh
he,
yeah.
but still, he goes back in time a lot, to those other things, right?
Now that's the thing. Somehow he's either he has this genetic ability, or he's unlocked some kind of secret to basically time traveling into a younger version of yourself to influence past events
And
by
change them.
by and change them. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And basically he would he yeah, yeah. Talk, Connor. You can do this. Talk.
It's a
You know how to
skill,
do this.
man. It's a skill.
Use your words. Use your words, fat man. Okay. So when when these blackouts started, a doctor suggested him to keep a journal, and just log things that happen.
Right.
And when he got into college, he just started reading them eventually, just trying to remember things that happened. And then as he read them, he would get like all quivery, vibraty, and then essentially he would he would inhabit the past version of himself at the time of when he was reading those journals. So if you read a journal from when he was 7, he would inhabit his 7-year-old mind, and
Yeah.
basically he'd be able to influence events at that point.
Right.
He would have the same memories and same mannerisms as adult him, just basically in a kid body.
Right.
It was very entertaining. Hearing basically a 7-year-old kid call this guy an F bag.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so
So
that was oddly entertaining.
basically, the premise here is that, look, I mean, people have heard of the phrase the butterfly effect. That a butterfly can flap its wings on one side of the world and it can create a chain
And
of
a
events.
typhoon happens in
Create
another.
a typhoon on that side of the world, right? And so it was Evan, and he had 3 friends, a brother and a sister, and then this other guy. And I don't remember the characters' names. Maybe you can remember their names.
Lenny, Tommy, and Kalea.
I don't remember. I don't remember what her name was. But anyway, so that was them, and bad stuff happened with Tommy and her dad. There was some suggestions that there was some sexual abuse that went on, and
Suggestions.
initially it was suggestions. They became more clear as the movie went on. That first scene where they're
They
Evan
were naked with a camera pointed at them.
Evan blacked stuff.
Scotch.
Evan blacked stuff out. But then they kind of became juvenile delinquents because they went through some yucky stuff. And then somebody got hurt, somebody got killed. So all these bad things happened. And he decided, and he'd always said, because he and the girl kind of liked each other, and he always said when they moved away after the bad stuff happened, he always said he'd come back for you. And he never really did. And he always felt bad about that. And when he realized that he could read these memories and go back in time, he's like, I want to save her. I want to fix everything and make everybody happy. And so that was the premise of the movie. He kept going back to former memories, trying to fix all the problems from when they were kids so that she would be okay, because, initially she was like a hooker, a drug addict hooker, well, not initially.
No,
she was a waitress at first, but she killed herself after they met. That's when he decided he started to go back to his memories, and then he went back and changed something in those memories, and she became a drug addict hooker. And then that was
the last thing that happened.
I know. I'm just saying.
In between those two, they got together and were happy.
True, but he ended up killing Tommy because Tommy had gone to prison because he had gone back to protect her from her dad. So then Dad took all of his violence and stuff out on Tommy, and so Tommy became basically a serial killer and was in prison. Came out and attacked them. He ended up killing Tommy. So he's like, I can't have that happen. So then he goes back and he tries to fix things.
There was also this whole amazing prison arc, of him in prison for killing Tommy.
Right.
That was pretty cool.
Right. And so what he started to figure, and his friend Lenny, who, by the way, is Foggy from Daredevil.
I know.
Okay. When I saw him, like, Foggy! That was the first thing I said. And I couldn't see him as anything but Foggy from Daredevil. But anyway.
I know.
He had all kinds of problems because it didn't. And so Evan started to figure out, it doesn't matter what I do. Things are going to turn out bad for someone in some way, no matter what I do, It was kind of like a dark version of Groundhog Day, if you think about it.
I don't think Groundhog Day was just one guy reliving the exact same day over and over and over again.
Right, and he would change things, but things still wouldn't turn out right.
No, he would change things, and they would just reset.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is yes, I understand it's not the exact same thing. What I'm saying is
I don't see it.
Okay, what I'm saying is that you can change one small thing, and it's going to have a chain of events and occurrences and consequences that you cannot predict.
Yeah.
So for him to think he could go back and change one small decision to fix all of it, it was sad to watch, and his frustration was getting worse and worse. But it was fascinating, and what we haven't mentioned is that his dad was in a mental institution
because he figured out the same thing.
Because his dad had the same thing. His dad could have done the same thing and could do all that same stuff, and it basically drove him crazy. So
I wouldn't say it drove him crazy. I would say that people thought he was crazy, and he thought the only way to keep them truly safe from him and this ability was to let them think he was crazy and to be sequestered.
Right.
Because if you remember, when Evan was visiting his dad, and then older him inhabited that time period, the dad was constantly warning him to stop this, and he was extremely lucid about it. And he loved his wife, and he's like he wanted to do something to protect her, and he thought the only way to do that was to stop the moment from happening.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he ended up trying to strangle his son.
Yeah. So
I will say this though.
What?
Not a lot of time travel movies actually show stuff like this happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually basically a time travel to a period, and then they're just doing stuff in that period, kind of like Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 3, and they're just basically in that time period, and they're not really trying to change anything.
Right.
With this movie, we can see the actual consequences of time travel because as you said, if you change one thing, unless you stay there and watch for the rest of those years and to figure out what happens, you can't then predict what's then going to happen.
Yeah. So it brings up the question: do you think that you can go back and change one thing and it not affect anything else?
No, it's impossible.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I thought that was going to be a long discussion, but it's a pretty short discussion. Yeah, I don't see how in the world, because you can't change a single variable without it having consequences in multiple outcomes, right? I mean, just from a scientific research point of view, if you change a variable, it's going to have an impact on this data over here, and then the change in that data over there is going to affect the third order effects and the fourth order effects. It's like a butterfly effect, right?
I I mean, think about it. If you're
It's a good
driving
point,
down the
Kurt.
road,
Yeah.
let's see.
I mean, yeah, but then you're kind of looking at the whole Flashpoint thing and different timelines, and whoa, that's above my pay grade about the whole
Yeah,
multiple universes and all that kind of stuff. So
multiverse. Should just see multiverse.
yeah,
Anyway,
but yeah, I mean,
the,
if you go with that approach, then yes, you can create a separate timeline. But then I'm going kind of the assumption that there's a single timeline, and you just change the events in that timeline. Because if you
kind
go
of like what happened in Butterfly Effect. It was a singular timeline that then changed as
right,
he went back in time.
right, and so that's what I'm saying.
Also,
Because I can't wrap my head around the concept of Evan going back and making a change in a decision, and it creates a completely different storyline or timeline, so that you have multiple events going at the same time. Just kind of like in the Loki show that was on Disney Plus with all the branching timelines. I mean, it makes my brain hurt trying to keep up with all that, right?
yeah.
So I'm taking the approach of it's a single timeline, and you just change the events in that timeline, right?
The one thing
making
I've
that
always been
assumption,
kind of
Kurt.
what the one thing I've always been kind of confused about is if you remember her in the movie, the in the beginning, and we saw Evan go through these blackouts. We know they're the same events that happened, and we know they're the same events that he tries to change. You know,
Yeah.
but but for some reason those events don't change.
Mhm.
In his first living through, but he is still blacking out as his older self occupies him. So it kind of makes me wonder. Okay, okay. So he blacked out, which means as we see later, it means his older self is occupying that self in that year,
Right.
and it's like you're like okay, but nothing changed, and it still went to the original beginning point. So how come in those blackouts he didn't change like he did before?
Do
It's
you see how this? Do you see
if
how?
time in that this movie is linear and everything changes as he blacks out,
Do you
you
see how
know?
hard this is and how much it can make your brain hurt? And that's just trying to figure all the details out in a single timeline. Now imagine trying to branch it out into multiple timelines. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I mean, time travel, and this is in some ways kind of a time travel type movie. Time travel movies always fascinate me, and they confuse the heck out of me because I just can't keep up. I can't think that esoterically about all this stuff. You know, I just can't. It's just, my brain doesn't work like that. So
When you think about it, Dad, this movie is actually a lot more similar to what was the name of the British movie we saw? The guy that had that magic hotel room that could travel back one day in the past. You know,
41,
do you remember?
41.
41.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. In my mind, this is almost like a version of 41, instead of inhabiting your previous day's self, it comes back with you. You know,
Yeah. That was a fascinating
that's more
movie. It was super confusing, but it was fascinating. Yeah.
confusing but fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
This one was just fascinating.
I
The
thought so too.
acting was
Sorry.
amazing.
I'm
The
gonna.
storytelling was amazing.
Sorry, we ran out of time. So I'm just that's keeping us on track. We should just.
What's that from?
Oh, that's
That
when
sounded like,
time
what's
runs
that
out in,
from?
in Super Mario.
I've never played Super Mario.
I know you're too young. I get it. I'm just giving you a hard time. So anyway,
I played it a bit back back when that McDonald's close to Western Heights had those little game things in there. Remember?
Yeah. So look,
And it still had that parrot theme. That was weird.
so Butterfly Effect was a great movie. I mean, we just kind of talked about the movie, and again, I tell people all the time we don't review movies; we just talk about them.
I have yet to see a bad Ashton Kutcher movie. I have yet to see a bad one.
I'm sure he's got some out there, because I haven't seen every Ashton Kutcher movie.
What was that one where he was a spy that we saw? That one?
Oh, I love that one. There was it The Killers. something like that. I have to remember. But it's one of those movies where it's one of my guilty pleasures. If I see that movie on, I'm going to watch it. I don't know why. I just and watching Rob Diggle with a snaggletooth as a horny assassin sleazeball. It's a funny character. But anyway, so as far as the movie goes, it's very fascinating, and it's really sad when you think about it, because he's desperately trying to save some people, and it doesn't matter, and because he truly cares about all three of his friends, and it doesn't matter what he does to try to alter the timeline to fix things, someone ends up in pain. Something bad happens to somebody, and he realizes over time that's the outcome is inescapable. The only thing he can change is who's going to be the target of the outcome, right? And that's really all that he could change. And so ultimately, he decides to change it, and he takes on the pain himself, right? Spoiler alert, it's 2004, it's 17 years ago. If you hadn't seen this movie yet, sorry, deal with it. But he finally, at the end, he decides, as they're trying to shut him down, the psychiatrist in the mental hospital, he watches a home, because they take all of his journals away from him with all of his memories. So he watches a home movie of when he's first introduced to the girl. And that's when he first liked her. But he chose instead, in that scene, in that moment, in that memory, to tell her that he hated her and never wanted to see her again.
Yeah.
And he did that so that she would be hurt and they wouldn't become friends, and she would end up living a completely different life. And when she did that, all three of his friends ended up with happy, healthy lives. But they never knew each other. And so
except him and Lenny.
Except
him and Lenny
still knew, right? They still knew each other, but she and he they always felt like they were destined to be together, and he had to live a life knowing that he would never be with her. But he made that sacrifice so that everybody could be alive and healthy and happy, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how the movie ended. It was really well done. I thought the acting was really well. I thought they did great playing all the different iterations of themselves. I thought that was really interesting that they had to play basically different characters over and over and over. But it was them, but not them. You know what I'm saying? So they had to keep the essence of their character. They had to keep the essence of their character, but then change it given the new history that they had. And that was, I thought they all did a pretty good job of that. What's that?
The actor who played the girl was very familiar. I know I've seen her in something else, but
I've seen her in stuff too, and I did a quick scan on IMDb, and I think if I'd looked a little closer, I'd recognize some things that she had been in. I recognize some things that she's been in, but I don't know that I remember her being in those things, because I don't remember if I've even seen those things. So, yeah, but I've seen her before. Obviously, I've seen Foggy before, and seen Ashton Kutcher. The guy that played Tommy, I'd never seen before. But
she wasn't in Scrubs. Oh no!
No.
Wait. I know where I've seen her. Where she played one of JD's girlfriends in Scrubs. She was the quote unquote drama queen.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's where I saw her. Okay,
so
that was gonna drive me crazy.
It was kind of interesting because your mom. Because I was telling her this is the movie that we were doing, and she's like, yeah, she remembered us watching it years ago, 2005 or whenever it came out on VHS or DVD, a long time ago when we watched it. And she says, for me to remember a movie, that means that I really liked it. And she liked the movie. She thought it was really good. But the ending, and I'd forgotten this, the ending, we must have seen the director's cut, because the ending that we saw was vastly different than the ending that you and I saw.
Okay, what was the ending you guys saw?
Do you remember when Evan's mom was talking to him and she had mentioned that she had had 2 miscarriages before him, and so he was like her miracle baby?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Well, in the director's cut, the end of the movie is time keeps going back further and further and further and further, all the way back to where Evan is in the womb. He hasn't even been born yet. And they do like an ultrasound, picture of him in the womb.
Yeah.
And he strangles himself with his umbilical cord so that he'll never be born, to prevent it all from happening. That's how the director's cut movie ended. So his two siblings, the miscarriages that his mom had, they had done the same thing. That was the implication. They had all gone through all this themselves and killed themselves to keep it from happening, to keep the cycle from continuing.
Damn.
Yeah, so that was the dark version. So, and I'm
glad I saw the good version. God dang.
So that was really interesting. But here's something else that I just read a while ago, looking at just some trivia on this. His name is Evan Treborn, right?
Yeah.
Move the T from Treborn to the end of Evan. It's Event Reborn.
Okay.
Event Reborn. The character's original name was going to be Chris Treborn. Move the T over. Christ Reborn. They were putting all the symbolism in there, but I think they probably thought that was a little bit too religiously heavy-handed, and so that's why they changed his name to Evan instead.
There wasn't one character in the prison system was Carlos who was very religious.
Right. So anyway, that was just I didn't even catch that in the naming kind of stuff. It's so funny, and I don't catch that kind of stuff. But I was on TV Travis's Wait You Haven't Seen, with him one time. I was a guest on his podcast one time, and he's a former film student, and so he sees those things, and when they happen, he catches all those things. Like, did you notice his name and the way it was written and all this kind of stuff? And I miss all that stuff. It's just like I just watch the movie and enjoy it. I'm a pretty simple man with simple taste. Just let me watch a movie that I enjoy. I don't catch most of those things. So it adds layers of meaning to those movies, and I wish I caught those things a whole lot more. You got anything else you want to say about Butterfly Effect?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was a great movie. I'm sorry that I didn't have more comments to make about the movie, but I watched it 2 weeks ago when I thought we were going to have our episode, and we had to cancel. So it was a little bit faded in my memory. You watched it just today. That's why I wanted to just kind of follow your lead today, because I just couldn't remember as much of the details. But it was when I saw that we were going to watch this, and I'm like, okay, I remember seeing this one. I don't remember much about it. I remember seeing it. I remember it being just not that great. But I was really wrong. I really, truly enjoyed this movie. Now, I've been told very clearly never watch the sequels because they're really bad. But
there are sequels?
Yeah, but I don't think they're in it. He's not in it. It's different people. It's probably a different storyline. Same kind of concept, just different storyline. They named it Butterfly Effect 2 and 3 or whatever.
What if the sequels are actually the previous miscarriages?
I don't know. Have fun with it. Go for it. I mean, I'm not that interested to go track those down. So, but anyway. So yeah, that's Butterfly Effect. It's really good. A lot of people kind of dog on Ashton Kutcher because he's kind of a simple guy and he's not like one of your classic drama actors. But I like Ashton Kutcher. I think he does a pretty good job in most of what he does. Now, granted, he takes more.
He's the simple man's Keanu Reeves.
He's a simple man's goofy Keanu Reeves. Yeah, he tends to take more of a comedic approach to most of his characters, which I think belies some of his talent. I think he could do a lot more. It's like when Robin Williams finally started doing dramatic roles, all of a sudden people went, "Oh my gosh, this guy's a fantastic actor."
This guy can do anything.
Because he had done so much comedy, and that's all he had done. People thought he was just some goofy dude. They didn't realize the acting chops that he truly had until he started doing drama. Yeah. So I think Ashton could probably do the same kind of thing. So anyway, So that's Butterfly
He
Effect. If you like,
actually does take a lot of dramatic. He takes a lot of dramatic liberties. He's in his show The Ranch on Netflix. Have you seen it?
No,
It's actually really good.
Yeah, I've just never.
It's really
It's
good.
never
You would
caught
like
me to
it.
want to watch that. Even though I like Sam Elliott, I like what's her name that plays his. Plays his wife? What's her? The blonde.
Are the blonde?
Yeah, the blonde girl.
Are you talking about? Are you talking about Ashton Kutcher's character or Sam Elliott's character?
No, not Sam Elliott. Whoever. No, she plays somebody's wife in that show.
Yeah,
she was Kiefer
Ashton Kutcher's wife.
Yeah, she was Kiefer Sutherland's daughter in the TV show 24. Yeah. So, anyway,
we'll say
I'm drawing a blank on her name right now.
You should try it. Right, it's actually really good. You should try it.
I've got plenty of shows that I'm watching. I'm back.
Oh, you do? Do you, huh?
Well, I'm trying to get into finish Blind Spot. I never finished the first season. I started it several times. I never finished the first season.
Blind Spot?
It's a show that's on. I don't know if it's still on. It may be canceled by now, but I think it had about 5 seasons. And a woman, the first show, there's a bag, like a body bag size bag, laying in the middle of the intersection at Times Square. And people start freaking out. A cop sees it and starts freaking out, thinking it's a bomb or something like that. Clears out the block. They get the bomb squad there. And the bomb technician is going up to this bag. And as he's getting close to the bag starts to unzip. And the bag unzips. And this woman, completely naked, but her entire body from her neck down to her feet is covered in tattoos. I mean, her entire body. Butt cheeks, everything is covered in tattoos. And she doesn't know who she is. She has no memory of who she is or anything. And it turns out she becomes kind of a ward of the FBI. And it turns out all of the tattoos that she has are clues to crimes that have happened or mysteries that need to be solved or something like that. So somebody's tattooed her with clues to solve crimes. And so they end up documenting all of her tattoos, and that's what the show becomes, is trying to figure out who she is and then solve all these crimes that her tattoos send them, all these goose chases that her tattoos send them on. It's called Blind Spot. It's really good. And
that sounds like a weird version of Dead Zone.
No, that's just memories. That's not tattoos. Anyway, the girl that played, she was one of the in Thor. She was the female friend of his in Thor. Her name's Jamie Alexander. She plays the main character. She plays Jane Doe. Anyway, so I've been watching that. So I'm into second season. I'm trying to get going with that. And I started watching another one with Martin Short and Steve Martin and Selena Gomez on Hulu called Only Murders Happen in the Building, which is kind of interesting, kind of funny.
Martin Short, Selena Gomez, and who?
Steve Martin.
What the?
They all live in this building.
You would not think those three would have anything in common.
But Steve Martin and
it's like, why would anybody want to talk about
Martin Short and Steve Martin? They do a lot of stuff together. They've done Broadway. They've done
Steve
Broadway.
Steve Martin, Martin Short.
I know, right? Yeah, I know. Yeah. So anyway, so the premise of that show is that they all live in the same building. You know, like a high rise in New York. And somebody gets murdered in that building. And they all love true crime podcasts. They're all like, they're those kind of people that love the true crime podcast. So they think that the person has been murdered, that it wasn't a suicide. And so they start to develop their own true crime podcast and investigate the murder.
Oh my God.
So. Anyway,
okay,
it's not bad.
I gotta watch this.
Only Murders Happen in the Building. It's on Hulu, so
I know.
So anyway, so I've been watching those. Trying to think if there's anything, and then just watching ER with your mom. We've been watching that again. So
really, ER?
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, we watched that religiously when we lived in Chicago because it's set in Chicago, you know. And then we moved to North Dakota, started having babies, and we kind of faded off and stopped watching. But that show was on like 16 years. It's crazy.
Have you guys have you guys tried The Good Doctor?
We did. We watched maybe the first 4 or 5 episodes, and I wasn't a huge fan of how he portrayed the character.
I understand.
I felt like they kind of tried to make him like this sappy, lovable, hey, let's pull at your heartstrings at every episode kind of character. And I don't think that's really kind of an accurate portrayal of someone on the spectrum who happens to be a doctor. I think it would be a little bit more difficult than that. And, they may have fleshed out his character later on, but it just wasn't enough to kind of keep us interested.
I understand.
Yeah. We're kind of sticklers about those kind of shows, right?
Yeah.
That's why, like when Claire Danes did Temple Grandin, we love that movie because she nailed that character and that person so well,
Oh, yeah.
So, anyway. Okay, so I got nothing else, man. We've talked about the movies.
I am tired and I am done.
Okay, so we're gonna roll for the next movie, and then we're gonna get out of here. Okay, so with my broken D&D box, so we're gonna roll for our service that we're gonna use. Then we're gonna roll for the genre. And then we're going to roll this bad boy to figure out which movie in that genre we're going to watch. Okay?
Let's do it.
So here we go.
I said, let's do it.
Sound effects. There you go. All right. So I got an 8 on the 20-sided die. So that would be Hulu. So we're going to watch a movie on Hulu. And then I got a 5. Which would be comedy, I think. Let me check. Comedy. So it's going to be a comedy on Hulu.
Awesome.
All right.
I could use a good laugh.
And then I rolled, out of a 100-sided dice, I rolled a 4. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to Hulu, to comedy, and find the 4th movie in the comedy list. All right? So I'm going to pull that up real quick. All right? One sec. And then I'll pull that list up. And then I'll start looking for it, and we'll go from there. So, one sec. All right. So, I'm going to play my music. I'll be right back. I think. There we go. Okay, so, just from the picture that I see on here, I think it's probably going to be more like a black comedy than a comedy. So we're going to watch a movie called 12-Hour Shift. The picture, like the picture promo movie poster little picture, says 12-Hour Shift with a woman's face with blood splattered all over it. And it's a comedy? And it says, bodies start to pile up when a drug user nurse and her cousin try to find a replacement kidney for an organ trafficker. So
what?
So apparently, this drug-using nurse starts harvesting body parts, I guess, from cadavers for an organ trafficker or something? I don't know.
What?
How are you going to make that a comedy? I don't know. But, of course, then again, Fargo was considered a black comedy, and they killed people in wood chippers.
Isn't that the one with Eddie Murphy?
Fargo?
There wasn't Eddie Murphy in some sort of gangster comedy thing? Shot off somebody's toe.
Harlem Nights.
Okay.
You can't get Harlem Nights in the Prohibition era versus Fargo, North Dakota. You can't get too much further apart.
Shut up.
And you and I lived in North Dakota. How many? Just stating a fact. How many people of Eddie Murphy's heritage did we often see in Fargo, North Dakota?
I literally have no memory of.
I know.
I've got like zero memory of
German
North
and
Dakota,
Scandinavian is pretty much all we saw up there. right? That's kind of because that's where it's anyway. I just thought
Ja,
it was kind. I just thought it was kind of
ist
funny,
wunderbar.
huh?
Das ist wunderbar.
Yeah.
Das ist wunderbar.
Anyway, so we're gonna watch apparently a black comedy about organ harvesting. I don't know how you can make a black comedy out of organ harvesting with a drug abusing nurse, but somehow they're going to do that, and somehow we're going to watch it. But we're probably not going to have a show next week because your fourth brother Jake, Connor's brother Luke, his best friend was Jake, and he was basically our fourth son from the time they were in middle school until now. He's married now. He's graduated college. He's a teacher in high school, and he's a football coach at Manchester High School.
Jake?
Yeah.
He's a teacher.
Jake is a high school teacher and football coach at Manchester High School. And so their last home game is next Friday night. And so your mom really wants to go see him coach his last home game. So we're going to be there next Friday night. So we can either skip next week or maybe we can do a Saturday night episode. We'll talk about that this week. I'd like to get in a Saturday night episode if we can, just kind of keep on track a little bit because I'd like to build up a little bit more for the charity stream, which again, by the way, I completely forgot to talk about at the beginning. That was something really important. November 11th, people, Veterans Day. I will be doing my second annual charity stream for 22kill.com benefiting active duty and veteran mental health and suicide prevention. So come join me here. I'm probably going to start at 8 o'clock in the morning and probably play until 9 o'clock at night and do nothing but play video games and drink a lot of coffee. So come hang out with me, donate to a good charity, and we'll do that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm doing November 11th. I'll be pushing that more. If you guys have some ideas of some games on Game Pass you'd like me to play for that charity stream, let me know, and I'll add those to the list. But that's all I've got. I've got nothing else. I'll push that more next time. We may be back next week. If we are, it'll probably be on Saturday though, and then we'll kind of go from there, and then we'll get back on our regular schedule. So I don't have anything else to say. I'm ready to go and get another drink and go play some Xbox with my old fart friends of mine that I play with on Friday nights. So Connor, you got anything else you want to add before we go? Any more parting shots?
You're not an old fart yet, Dad.
I'm not. 53. I'm beyond. If 53 is middle age,
old fart is when you hit the 60s.
I'm only 7 years from that. And
exactly.
Not that far.
Exactly. You're not there yet.
Okay. Anyway, I'm an older gentleman. How's that?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm ready to go and go play with my other older gentlemen, gaming friends, and I'll see y'all next time. So. If you don't have anything else to say, that's all we got, guys. Thanks for coming in. I really appreciate when guys come in and hang out with us and chat. If you're listening to this on an audio podcast, go to your favorite podcasting service that you get this from, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all those places where you go. Give us a 5-star rating. It helps people find us more so we get more people to hang out with us. The more people we have to hang out, the better it is. Connor's gone into full Geordie mode over there with his headphones. So maybe he can see full spectrum light now. I don't know. But that's all we got for tonight. We'll see y'all next time on the Gene Pool Variety Hour. And always remember,
stay nerdy, my friends. Scotty, full speed ahead.
Geordie doesn't talk that way.
No, I know. But I've never seen. I've only ever seen.
I'm gonna do my Caddyshack.
I've only ever seen Voyager. I don't even know who Geordie is. Is he the black guy?
Geordie. Yeah. With the visor. Bye, guys. Y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.